That feeling when you meet a stranger's eyes, and then time slows down. Like it's only the two of you in this world as you keep looking at each other. And before you know it, you have fallen in love. This is what happens to our two protagonists, Engin and Pelin. The thing is, they fall in love in the most curious of ways. Engin is an attractive bachelor and a successful businessman. He owns a real estate development company that is among the top businesses in the country. He's a confident man, always going for what he wants. He strongly believes that there's no progress without change. That's why he can easily talk to residents of apartments that are affected by his company's demolition progress. He can look them in the eye and tell them that they can benefit from the construction of a new building. He does not care about the sweet memories created in those apartments, or the family roots that have grown there. In his love life, he has a great record of being an elusive bachelor. The public knows he's in a long-term relationship with Eda, but personally, he wants to end things with her. It's not time for him to marry and settle down. Cihan, his good friend, tells him that married life is not all that bad, but Engin is too stubborn to listen. Instead, he invites Cihan to the newly opened posh restaurant, where his other friend, Emre, will be working as a sous chef. On the other hand, Pelin is a beautiful events planning assistant, and is good friends with Merv. Pelin doesn't plan on marrying soon, but her friend is eager to do so. It has come to a point where Merv gets excited when she receives flowers from a stranger. Merv says her biological clock is ticking. She's not getting younger. Pelin argues that 24 hours in a day doesn't seem to be enough to find true love. 8 hours of work, plus 8 hours of sleep, plus 4 hours of traveling to and from work, is already 20 hours. The remaining 4 hours will be spent on makeup and skincare routines, leaving only 2 minutes and 41 seconds of eye contact, talking, and falling in love. Pelin convinces Merv that focusing on her career will be a better option, and will cause men to line up for her. However, Pelin's own career is not that great. She doesn't get along with their boss, as evident from how they are different when it comes to fulfilling their customers' demands. She's thinking about quitting, but her bills and dreams prevent her from doing so. To take her friend's mind off the rocky atmosphere at work, and to focus on finding her true love, Merv invites Pelin to the newly opened posh place in the area. That night, they dress up and mingle with socialites. They end up standing by the bar, where two old men are ogling them. Feeling uncomfortable with the unwanted attention, Pelin and Merv walk away, but the men are persistent. With no choice, they enter the kitchen. At the other end of the restaurant, Engin entertains his friends. As part of this, and to support his friend Emre, he goes to the kitchen to cook for them. Although Engin doesn't own the restaurant, he is allowed to cook a dish there, courtesy of Emre. He has distant plans of owning a restaurant himself, with Emre as his head chef, but it's not yet part of his immediate plans. Emre informs him there's a good place he can consider, if they will push through with it. Suddenly Pelin and Merv burst into the kitchen right in front of them. The four of them stare at each other, Engin to Pelin, and Emre to Merv. And thus starts the 2 minutes and 41 seconds allotted time for eye contact, talking, and falling in love. Before they know it, their lives will change. Engin wakes up in a cozy bed. As he looks at the woman beside him, he can't help but tell her she's beautiful. Pelin wakes up as well, but she screams in Engin's face. Both are bewildered at the situation they find themselves in. In their minds, they have the same question: who is this person beside me, and why are we sleeping in one bed? To make matters worse, they find themselves wearing wedding rings. Now this is a disaster for two people who don't want to get married, especially not to a stranger. Engin tries to remove the ring, but it won't come off. Pelin accuses Engin of doing something to her. But even though she's beautiful enough to tempt him, he wouldn't do something harmful. He doesn't even know who she is. To add to their confusion, they realize they are sleeping at someone else's house. Then they both hear the doorbell ring. Engin goes to see who it is, while looking around to see if anyone's home. When he opens the door, an elderly man smiles at him and gives him the breakfast ordered by Ms. Pelin, his wife. Through their conversation, Engin learns this is indeed their house. They are married, and his wife always orders breakfast from this man. Then they both hear a shriek. Engin walks over to Pelin, who is looking at a photo. There, they see a piece of solid evidence that they indeed have been married. They go back to the bedroom to check their respective phones. True enough, they have 2 years' worth of memories as a married couple. How did this happen? How can two strangers become married overnight? As if to confirm this nightmare, Pelin's mom calls her, confirming the situation and even asking for her son-in-law, Engin. That's the time they finally get to know each other's names. Pelin ends the call. They both decide to explore the house and see if there's any information they can find. But as they go through things, they get more confused. Pelin's wardrobe consists of trendy clothes. The other things in the house are all to her taste. Meanwhile, Engin checks the shelf where they found the picture. As he looks closer, he finds that he was in an accident 2 years ago. That's when he notices the scar on his knee, from the supposed operation, and the cast framed as some sort of memorabilia. They both meet again in the kitchen to have their coffee. When Engin asks her what she remembers last, Pelin's answer is the same as his. They both remember seeing each other in the kitchen of the restaurant, but they don't know what happened after. Engin asks why he would marry her. It's a good question coming from him, considering he doesn't see himself settling down. but Pelin takes offense to this. She says 3 things. First, she doesn't want to get married. Second, she's not someone who throws herself onto men for pleasure, so he must stop speculating about her. And third, it's offensive to ask someone why they would marry them, regardless of the tone. Even though they are arguing early in the morning, they both agree on one thing. They need to get divorced. Immediately. When they get out of the house, the same man who gave Ms. Pelin's orders is sitting there waiting for them with their vehicles. Engin is horrified. He can't believe he's downgraded from his luxury car to an old man's bike. He rides to his company, where he is still greeted by the employees. But to his surprise, he's not the boss anymore. Apparently, he has sold his company. Of all people, he sold his company to his good friend, Sehan. What's more is that Etta, his girlfriend, is now married to him. Sehan gives him a summary of what has happened. Engin was the one who sold the company to him, because he doesn't want to tear down neighborhoods anymore. Pelin changed him since the accident. He spent the money to open up a restaurant. When he proceeds to the restaurant, he sees it getting ready for that day's operation. Emre is the head chef, who is happy to see him. He's been cooking a soup for Engin to taste and approve. It looks like it will be served later, for a special occasion. Emre is confident that Pelin will love it. Engin gets confused again. Meanwhile, Pelin is panicking. She's not yet ready to get fired from her job. But when she arrives at the office, Merv and everyone else greets her cordially. She has become the boss of the events organizing company she's working for. The icing on the cake is that her former boss, with whom she didn't get along, is now serving her tea and biscuits. What a rollercoaster turn of events. Merv tells her that it was Engin who bought the company and made her the boss. For the 2 years that she's managed the company, it has flourished in the industry. Pelin is happy to know that she is successful, but there are still a lot of things to understand. Engin and Pelin meet at an outdoor restaurant to share what they have found out. Engin feels like the world has ended for him and blames Pelin. On the other hand, Pelin thanks him for buying the company for her. Engin feels so absurd about what's happened. This must be a nightmare. They both need to wake up. Pelin suggests they visit a therapist to ask for help. After telling their story, the therapist accurately summarizes their situation. They have been married for 2 years, and everyone around them recognizes that, except for the 2 of them. They both think they are dreaming, so they need to wake up soon. But 2 people can't have the exact same dream. Engin and Pelin argue again, but the therapist stops them. He advises them to get to know each other again, to fall in love again. They get out of the building while discussing what to do. Just then, Engin almost gets hit by a car. Thankfully, Pelin pulls him back just in time. She suggests checking her diary to see what they both did before, to fall in love with each other. The first thing they did was watch a movie. According to Pelin's diary, Engin slowly reached out for her hand and held it. He cringes at the description. He says it's not how he does things, and he's done more than hold a woman's hand. Pelin throws the popcorn at him and says if he ever holds another woman's hands, she'll poke his eyes out. Next is doing a sweet dance by the sea. Pelin doesn't expect it to be that romantic, but Engin plays music from his phone. Right there and then, they dance, as if they're the only people around. Unfortunately, 2 men complain about them dancing in public. In retaliation, Engin and Pelin push the men into the sea. When they consult Pelin's diary, they see that the next thing they did was visit her childhood neighborhood. It is evening when they get there. To Pelin's surprise and indignation, the neighborhood is gone. Replacing the apartments are tall buildings constructed by Engin's company. What about the memories? Pelin asks. They are gone now, because of Engin's belief that progress won't happen without change. She wants to divorce as soon as possible, because it's clear they don't suit each other. But Engin stops her and holds her close. He tells her she's not going anywhere. He keeps holding her hand as they walk to their car to go home. They are still getting used to the idea that they both reside in the same house when Pelin hears a noise. Then they get surprised by Pelin's family and Engin's friends. It turns out it is their wedding anniversary. They just go along with the party, even though they have no idea what's going on. When they go to the kitchen to get some dishes, Pelin asks for Engin's family. He says his father hasn't been talking to him, not since his mother passed. He doesn't feel comfortable talking about it. After dinner, they gather around the living room to recall some memories from the couple's wedding. Pelin's parents, just like any other parents, are already asking for grandchildren. The couple tries their best to hide their horror at this prospect. Then the mother recalls Engin's proposal to her daughter. She recalls a sweet poem and wishes to hear it. Engin makes an excuse that it's private, but the mother insists. He doesn't know how to recall something he didn't even make in the first place, but he gives it a try. Pelin's father laughs it off. Thankfully, the doorbell rings, saving Engin from further embarrassment. But it turns out it's his dad, who's come to the party. To add more to his surprise, his father is amiable to him. He can't help but hug his father tight. He misses him so much, and is grateful to see him again. Pelin can see that her husband seems to feel lighter, now that his father is here. As for Engin, he's happy to see Pelin getting along so well with his father. When everyone has left, Engin's father stays with them for the night. He tells his son to take care of Pelin and never scare her away. He says it was her who saved Engin from the accident. She was there to nurse him back to health, and the first one he saw when he opened his eyes after the coma. Engin pretends to remember, but in truth, he doesn't know the accident that everyone is talking about. He leaves his father to talk to Pelin, who has just finished washing the dishes. He thanks her for reconciling him with his father. In return, she thanks him for making her father happy. Then Engin relays his story. His mother had cancer, which was discovered late. He couldn't bear staying by her side, seeing her slowly wilt away. That's why he focused his energy and attention on expanding his construction business. At the height of his career, his mom passed away. He missed a funeral. His father stopped talking to him ever since then. Pelin proceeds to clean her father-in-law's bed. After that, she meets him by the door. The father gives her a gift. It's a beautiful necklace that used to belong to his late wife. Pelin is overcome by emotions. She doesn't know why she deserves to own this, but she's grateful for it. As the night ends, the two of them prepare to sleep. Although they want to wake up from this dream, they are starting to get curious about each other. They even try to peek through mirrors when they are changing into their pajamas. Not bad. Perhaps they can meet each other in real life once they wake up. But fate is not yet done with them. As the clock shows 2:41, time turns again, to shift them into another phase of married life. When they wake up, they are still together in bed. But this time, Pelin is pregnant. Her belly is swelling and perfectly round. She couldn't have become pregnant overnight, so it must be another time jump in their dream. They check their house. It's apparent that they are preparing and expecting the third member of their family. They decide to visit the therapist again. But first, Pelin wants to eat sour plums, which are out of season. When they get there, the therapist patiently listens to them. Bless him for dealing with all these weird accounts from his patients. He tells them that they must be fearful of becoming parents. Giving birth could be a way for both of them to wake up. As they walk out of the building, Pelin almost gets hit by a speeding car. Thankfully, Engin pulls her back. They proceed to the restaurant where they first discuss their situation. Pelin's tummy is so big that if she swims in the Aegean Sea, two countries might be fighting over a new island. And she craves sweets this time. They consult Pelin's diary again to see what they have done between the anniversary and the pregnancy. Then Pelin asks, what if she doesn't wake up after giving birth? Then they must continue. There's no other choice. According to the diary, Engin proposed to her again. Pelin gets an idea. What if he organizes a meeting with his father and her parents so they can reenact how Engin asked for her hand in marriage? Of course, he hasn't done it in real life, so it should be traumatic for him, just as giving birth may be traumatic for her. Engin thinks this may be worth a try. He'll do anything for his wife. His father thinks it's ridiculous to ask again for blessings when marrying. They are now in Pelin's parents' house. Her parents are also confused. Engin just tells them it's to boost her morale in giving birth. Meanwhile, Pelin and Merve are in the kitchen preparing coffee. Fun fact, Merve is married to Imre and has a daughter. At least in Pelin's dreams, she gets her wish of getting married. After a few moments, they serve the coffee to Engin and his father. Unexpectedly, Pelin starts to feel the contractions. She's about to give birth. They try to call for an ambulance, but the traffic prevents it from coming on time. Engin has to bring his wife to the hospital on his bike. Once there, the doctors immediately attend to her. They are uncertain if they will wake up after this, but they need to continue. After a long wait, Pelin has given birth to a healthy baby girl. She wants to name her Zeynep, but Engin rejects that name. They would have argued further if the nurse had not come to remind them the wife needs to rest. So Pelin sleeps on the hospital bed, while Engin sleeps on the chair outside her room. When they wake up the next day, they realize they have had another time jump. They go down to check on their daughter. She has grown a lot since then, and she's named Zeynep, after all. They wake her up, elated to see their daughter happy. She calls Engin Baba, and she calls Pelin Eni. It's just a dream, but their happiness is immeasurable when they hear their daughter calling them father and mother. Zeynep looks for her rabbit teddy bear, so Engin goes to a store and buys it for her. But the couple realizes something. If they keep on doing time jumps, then they'll grow old and soon pass away. They won't know if they will ever wake up from this dream. It's scary to think how life can pass by in just a blink of an eye, even inside their dream. Pelin suggests they should enjoy this one day. If they wake up the next day, then good for them. But if they don't, and have another time jump, then at least they have enjoyed this short time. So the small family goes to a farm and has a picnic. They allow Zeynep to ride a horse, then the three of them ride a boat. They also visit Engin's father. The grandfather is happy to have his granddaughter around. As the couple looks at them, they realize they're lucky to have this blissful dream. They are so overcome by their situation that they don't notice they have fallen for each other. As the day ends, they are thankful that they can spend time with each other. After making sure Zeynep is asleep, the couple goes to the living room to have some time on their own. Engin plays a song and asks Pelin to dance with him. They express how they feel about each other through their body language. Engin proclaims that whether this is real or not, he'll never let her go. Pelin tells him he's the most beautiful dream she's ever had. They end the night with a kiss, and they make love to each other. Both don't know what they will wake up to. However, they have finally woken up from the dream. Engin is back in his bachelor's pad, alone and missing her. Pelin is also back in her room, trying to reach out to Engin, who's not there anymore. It's time to face their respective realities again. Pelin wakes Merv up and tells her she's fallen in love. When asked how, Pelin says it's through a dream. Then she tells her friend about everything that happened. Meanwhile, Engin is relieved to be back in his own place. He has his old clothes and his luxury car. But he's thinking about Pelin. Both of them realize that only one night has passed while they were dreaming. But what a dream it was. It feels so real. Both of them feel like they are still wearing the wedding rings. They try to look for each other through the internet. Thankfully for Pelin, Engin is famous enough to have his name spread throughout blogs about socialites. But for Engin, he doesn't know where to find Pelin. They try to go on through their normal routine. But the feelings of the dream linger too strongly upon them. Pelin finally quits her job, after standing up to her insufferable boss. Merv supports her and tells her to find Engin. Pelin does find him, entering his company's building. But what will she say to him? That they had a family in her dreams. She thinks Engin might think her crazy. But what she doesn't know is that Engin is looking for her as well. Through the dream, Pelin's influence on him has become evident. He tells his secretary to cancel all the demolition operations in the neighborhood shown at the start of the movie. He realizes that memories and families are much more important than the progress he aims for. He also tells her to cancel all his schedules for the day, then to call Sihan. He formally passes the ownership of the company to his friend. Naturally, Sihan is bewildered about this. He wants to know who this Pelin is that his friend has fallen for. Throughout the day, the two of them return to the places they went in their dreams. They even see the two men they pushed into the sea. But they keep missing each other. Engin decides to visit his father. He understands it was he who first approached his father. That's why they were on good terms in his dream. They have a heart-to-heart talk, where Engin finally explains his pain when his mother passed away. Time and distance have made his father understand, and he apologizes to his son for being mad at him. When his father asks him why he's there, he feels comfortable enough to relay the story of how he met a woman and got married, all in his dreams. When they're done, his father gives him the necklace that once belonged to his mother. He's sure that Engin's future wife will love and cherish it. Night comes, and they still haven't found each other. Engin attends the scheduled therapy session with his girlfriend Etta. The therapist is the same one from his dreams. He thanks him for helping them get through their situation. Right there and then, he breaks up with Etta, saying he's fallen in love with another woman. Etta runs out of the building. Engin tries to catch up with her, but she's done with him. Then she walks away. Engin looks across the street and sees a familiar woman about to walk away. He finally sees Pelin. As he tries to run after her, a car hits him. Through the haze of pain, he sees Pelin running towards him. The next thing he knows, he's inside the ambulance, with Pelin sitting beside him. With his strength, he shows her the necklace, which she immediately recognizes. She tells him to hold on. They have their whole life ahead of them, and their story is just about to begin. Thankfully, Engin makes a full recovery. In no time, the two get married. They already know what lies ahead. But what's important is that it's the couple who have the power to make their dream become a reality.